What if I told you that the Great Flood, the story etched into the bedrock of our oldest traditions, was not about punishing humanity for its sins? What if its true purpose was far more terrifying, more profound? Imagine for a moment that the deluge was not a punishment, but a desperate act of cosmic quarantine, a planetary sterilization, a final desperate measure to erase a monstrous contagion that was not just corrupting humanity, but rewriting the very code of life on Earth. A contagion born from the heavens, which gave rise to a race of cannibalistic, bloodthirsty giants, the offspring of angels and mortal women. This is the story the Book of Genesis gives us a fleeting, chilling glimpse of. But it is another, far more ancient and controversial text that rips the veil away and exposes the full, horrifying narrative. A book once revered as scripture by early Christians and Jews before it was deemed too dangerous, too revealing, and was systematically suppressed and erased. This is the story from the Book of Enoch, and it changes everything. To understand this cataclysm, we must first travel back before the rain, before the ark, before Noah, back to a world brimming with primordial potential, a humanity in its infancy, watched over from the heavens. The Book of Enoch tells us of a specific class of celestial beings, angels known as the Watchers. Their name was their function: to watch, to observe, to guide humanity from a distance, allowing it to develop according to a divine plan. They were guardians, stationed on the ramparts of heaven, looking down upon the fledgling world of mortals. But proximity breeds temptation, and from their celestial perch they gazed upon the daughters of men, and saw that they were beautiful. What began as observation curdled into obsession, then into a lust that would sunder the very laws of creation. One among them, a leader of great renown named Samiaza, felt this pull most acutely. He saw the beauty of mortal women, and a thought, a venomous seed of rebellion, took root in his heart. He was not alone. He spoke to his comrades, 200 of the most powerful watchers, his voice a silken poison in the courts of heaven. He said to them, "I fear you will not agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin." But his fear was misplaced. The same fire of lust burned in them all. They answered him in unison, their voices a thunderous chorus of betrayal. "Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing." Their decision was made, their fate was sealed. They descended, a cascade of falling stars, upon the peak of a mountain, Mount Hermon. The name itself would become a testament to their crime, for Hermon is derived from the Hebrew word for oath and curse. There, they swore a blood pact, binding their immortal souls to an act of cosmic treason. This was not merely an act of lust. It was an act of profound rebellion against the divine order. They were abandoning their sacred post, their holy station, for the fleeting pleasures of the flesh. But they did not come empty-handed. Their descent was a deluge of forbidden knowledge, a torrent of secrets that humanity was not yet ready for. Each of the leaders of the Watchers brought with them a corrupting gift, a dark enlightenment that would accelerate human history down a path of violence and ruin. Azazel, one of the chief leaders, taught men the art of war. He showed them how to forge swords and knives, how to make shields and breastplates. He revealed the secrets of metals and the art of crafting them into instruments of death. He taught women the art of deception, introducing them to cosmetics, the coloring of tinctures, the bracelets and ornaments that inflame vanity. He ripped the secrets of the earth from its core and twisted them into weapons. Samiaza, their leader, taught them enchantments and the cutting of roots, the art of sorcery and the binding of spells. Amaros taught the resolving of enchantments. Barakijal taught the secrets of the stars, the forbidden arts of astrology. Kokabel taught the constellations, the heavenly signs that could be twisted for divination. Ezekiel taught the knowledge of the clouds and weather patterns, not for farming but for portents and power. Arakiel taught the signs of the earth, Shamsiel the signs of the sun, and Sariel the course of the moon. In a heartbeat, humanity was given knowledge that should have taken millennia to unfold, if at all. It was a technological and mystical quantum leap, but one that came without wisdom, without restraint, without the moral framework to handle it. It was like giving a child a flaming sword. The world was irrevocably set on a course for self-destruction. The Watchers had not just broken their vows, they had poisoned the well of human potential. And from this unholy union of heaven and earth, of immortal spirit and mortal flesh, something new and terrible was born. The human women who lay with the Watchers conceived, and they bore children unlike any seen before. They were giants. The Book of Enoch calls them the Nephilim. Genesis 6 confirms their existence. There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. But Enoch's account strips away any romantic notion of mighty men. These were not noble heroes. They were abominations. Imagine a creature born with the spiritual power of an angel, but trapped within a physical form, driven by the insatiable primal hunger of a beast. The Nephilim grew to towering statures, some said as high as 3,000 ells, an ancient measurement that would make them colossal beings, dwarfing any man. Their size was matched only by their appetite, an appetite that could not be sated. They consumed everything humanity had produced, all the toil of the farmers, the grain from the fields, the cattle from the pastures. It was all devoured by these ravenous giants. The work of an entire village could not feed a single one of them for a day. Humanity was bled dry, its resources plundered to feed the monstrous children of the Watchers. When the food produced by men ran out, the Nephilim turned their hunger elsewhere. They began to devour the animals of the earth, the birds of the air, the beasts of the field, the creatures that swarmed in the waters. They were a force of pure consumption, a living black hole of need. The world's ecosystem buckled under their relentless gluttony, but even that was not enough. Once they had consumed the labor and the livestock of mankind, a new, more horrific chapter began. They turned on their creators. The giants began to sin against and devour human beings. What was once a parasitic relationship became a predatory one. The world of men became the larder for the Nephilim. Villages were razed, not for conquest, but for food. The air was filled with the screams of the devoured. And then, in the final, most ghastly stage of their depravity, when there was little else left to consume, they turned on each other. The giants began to fight and kill and eat one another, drinking the blood of their own kind. The earth was drowning in violence. It was a world of chaos, a planetary abattoir lorded over by these god-children, these hybrid monstrosities. The divine order had been shattered. The very laws of nature were being violated. The planet itself, a living creation, groaned under the weight of this defilement. The blood of the innocent spilled upon the ground did not just soak into the soil. It cried out. It sent a silent, desperate scream up to the heavens, a plea for intervention, a plea for salvation from the terror that walked the land. That cry did not go unheard. In the highest heavens, beyond the veil of the corrupted world, four presences took notice. The archangels, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, they looked down from their holy sanctuary and saw the world drowning in blood. They saw the lawlessness, the corruption, the suffering of humanity, the arrogance of the fallen Watchers, and the abomination of their offspring. They heard the souls of men crying out, "Bring our cause before the Most High." The case against the fallen angels and their progeny was brought before the throne of God. The evidence was the earth itself, soaked in gore and injustice. The archangels stood as prosecutors in a cosmic court. Gabriel would be sent to incite the giants to war against each other. Michael was given the charge to bind Samiyaza and his legions. Raphael was tasked with binding the demon Azazel and healing the wounded earth. And Uriel, the angel of light and knowledge, was sent to the one righteous man left on earth, the son of Lamech, to deliver a warning of the coming judgment. His name was Noah, but before Noah there was another, a man so righteous, so pure of heart in a world of utter depravity, that he held a unique status. His name was Enoch, the seventh patriarch from Adam. The book of Genesis gives us a cryptic, tantalizing summary of his life. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. What does this mean? He was not. The book of Enoch provides the astonishing answer. Enoch did not die a mortal death. His righteousness allowed him to transcend the physical plane. He walked with God, literally. He was chosen to be the bridge between the mortal realm and the divine, the scribe of heaven, the messenger who would deliver God's judgment to those who had once been his equals, the watchers. Imagine the terror and awe of this moment. Enoch, a mortal man, is given a divine commission. He is to go to the fallen watchers, his former celestial guardians, and pronounce their doom. The watchers, by this point, are gripped with fear. They have seen the horrifying fruit of their sin. They have witnessed the chaos their children have wrought. The thrill of their rebellion has long since faded, replaced by the dawning dreadful realization of their eternal error. They are filled with terror and trembling. They can no longer look up to heaven. They are ashamed of the crimes they have committed. They cannot even pray for themselves, so they come to Enoch. These once mighty angels, who look down on humanity with contempt and lust, now plead with a mortal man to be their intercessor. They ask him to write a petition for them, to beg the Most High for forgiveness on their behalf. It is a moment of profound cosmic irony. The guards have become prisoners, and the watched has become their only hope. Enoch, ever righteous, agrees to their request. He writes down their petition, a desperate plea for mercy. And then, as he sits by the waters of Dan, in the south of Mount Hermon where the watchers first made their cursed pact, he falls into a trance. He has a vision. In this vision, he is lifted into the heavens on the clouds, brought before the very throne of God. The throne is made of frost, its wheels of the brilliant sun, and from beneath it, rivers of flaming fire issued forth. He sees the great glory, the Most High, and he presents the watcher's petition, and the voice from the throne speaks. It is a voice of absolute authority, of unshakable judgment. And the verdict is delivered not with anger, but with a cold, cosmic finality. Forgiveness is impossible. The voice asks Enoch, "Why do you ask me on behalf of spirits and not them on behalf of you?" The roles have been reversed forever. The divine judgment is read out. "You were in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones, and these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women, and through these mysteries women and men work much evil on earth." The judgment continues. "Say to them, therefore, you have no peace." Their sin was not a simple mistake. It was a fundamental betrayal that introduced a permanent stain into creation. As for their punishment, it would be eternal. They would be forced to watch the slaughter of their beloved children, the Nephilim. They would see their monstrous offspring destroy each other in a final bloody civil war, and then they themselves would be bound. Not for 1,000 years, but for all the generations of the world. They would be cast into the jagged, dark places of the earth, imprisoned in the valleys of the abyss, bound in chains of darkness until the day of great judgment, when they would be cast into the lake of fire for all eternity. There would be no reprieve, no pardon. Their fate was sealed. Enoch returns to the fallen watchers and delivers this terrible news. He reads the verdict of their eternal damnation. Their hope turns to ash. Their wailing is the sound of immortality breaking. But Enoch's journey was far from over. His commission was not just to be a messenger of doom, but to be a witness, a scribe for all of creation. God takes Enoch on a grand tour of the universe, revealing to him the secrets of heaven and earth, the past, the present, and the future. This journey, detailed in the Book of Enoch, is one of the most extraordinary and psychedelic passages in all of ancient literature. It is a guided tour of the divine architecture, a glimpse behind the curtain of reality itself. He is shown the ends of the earth, the very pillars that hold up the sky. He travels to a place of utter darkness, a chaotic void where heaven and earth are not yet formed, and he sees 7 stars, like great burning mountains, bound together. These, an angel tells him, are the stars that transgress the commandment of God, and they are imprisoned here until they have completed their 10. Thus and a sentence. He is taken to the storehouses of the elements. He sees the treasuries of the snow, the storehouses of the hail and the frost. He sees the chambers of the mists and the clouds. He witnesses the cosmic machinery that governs the seasons, the winds that emerge from celestial portals to guide the climate of the earth. He is shown the very cornerstone of the world. He travels further, to the place of the dead, to Sheol. But it is not a singular place of gloom. He is shown that it is divided. He sees 4 hollow places, deep and wide and very smooth. An angel, Raphael, explains their purpose. 3 of them are dark, and 1 is bright. The bright hollow is for the spirits of the righteous dead, where a spring of bright water flows. Here the souls of the pious, like Abel, wait in peace and joy for the day of judgment. The other 3 hollows are for the sinners, separated according to the nature of their crimes, where they are held in pain and torment, awaiting their final terrible verdict on the great day. This vision provides a theological framework for the afterlife that is far more detailed and complex than anything found in the Old Testament, a framework that heavily influenced later Jewish and Christian thought. Enoch's journey continues. He is taken to the heart of the world, to a place with 7 magnificent mountains made of precious stones, 1 of jacinth, 1 of ruby, 1 of pearl. In the center, there was a mountain that reached to the heavens like the throne of God, made of alabaster, its summit of sapphire. And in the midst of these mountains, he sees a tree unlike any other. It was indescribable in its beauty and fragrance. Its leaves, flowers, and wood never withered, and its fruit was beautiful, resembling the dates of a palm. This, the archangel Michael explains, is the tree of life. Its fruit will be given to the righteous and the holy after the great judgment. Its scent will permeate their bones, and they will live long lives on earth, free from sorrow and pain. But until that day, no mortal is permitted to touch it. It is a promise of a paradise to be restored, a future Eden waiting for the worthy. Then he is shown the antithesis of this paradise. He is taken to a cursed valley, a place of horror. It is an accursed abyss, with great pillars of fire. This, he is told, is the prison for the fallen angels, but it is currently empty. It is being prepared for them, and it is also the place where those who lead mortals astray, who teach them to worship idols and deny God, will be gathered on the final day. He is then taken west, where he sees a great and high mountain of hard rock, and beyond it a mountain of fire that blazed day and night. The angel Uriel explains, this is the fire that will consume the celestial lights, the stars that strayed from their path. It is a vision of cosmic order, enforced through fiery judgment. Enoch's journey is a revelation of a universe built on moral law, where every action, both human and angelic, has a consequence that echoes through eternity. Enoch becomes the keeper of this forbidden cosmology, the scribe of a truth too vast and terrible for his time. But what of the Nephilim, the giants who still roamed the earth, tearing it apart? God's judgment upon them was as specific as it was for their fathers. The archangel Gabriel was sent to them, not with a message of peace, but with a spark of war. He was commanded to go to the bastards and the reprobates, and to the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, and the children of the watchers from amongst men. He was to set them against one another in a war of annihilation, that they may destroy each other in battle. The giants, driven by their inherent violence and demonic pride, were easily incited. A great war erupted amongst the Nephilim, a final, cataclysmic conflict where Titan fought Titan, and the earth shook with the footfalls of their combat. They slaughtered each other with gleeful abandon, fulfilling the divine decree. Their colossal bodies fell, their blood watering the very ground they had terrorized. But here we come to one of the most crucial and most overlooked revelations in the entire Book of Enoch. The physical death of the Nephilim was not the end of their story. It was merely a transformation. God speaks of their fate. And now the giants, who are produced from the spirits and flesh, shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men and from the holy watchers, is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. This is a paradigm-shifting concept. The spirits of the dead giants, because of their unnatural hybrid origin, part divine, part mortal, could not pass into the afterlife like human souls. They were not fully spirit, so they could not ascend. They were not fully human, so they could not rest in Sheol. Their powerful, disembodied spirits were trapped, bound to the earthly plane. These became the demonic forces of the world. Malignant, invisible entities. Their only purpose is to afflict, corrupt, attack, and destroy humanity until the final judgment. They are the source of temptation, of sudden illness, of maddening thoughts, of endless strife. The Book of Enoch provides a clear, terrifying origin story for demons. They are not simply fallen angels, they are the lingering, ghostly residue of the monstrous Nephilim. This explains why, even after the flood washes the world clean physically, spiritual corruption continues. The flood could wash away the bodies, the blood and the bones. It could cleanse the physical defilement. But it could not wash away these malevolent spirits. They would remain, a hidden plague upon mankind, an eternal legacy of the Watchers' sin. With the fate of the Watchers and the Nephilim sealed, the final stage of the judgment could begin, the cleansing of the earth itself, the great flood. Uriel, the archangel of light, was sent to Noah, the one man whose lineage remained pure, untainted by the genetic interference of the Watchers. He was not just morally righteous, he was genetically whole. Uriel warns him of the coming deluge, instructing him to build an ark to preserve his family and the seed of every living creature from the utter destruction that was to come. Hide thyself, Uriel commands, revealing that the whole earth will be destroyed. A deluge is about to come upon the whole earth and will destroy all that is on it. The flood, in this context, is not a simple act of anger at human wickedness. It is a necessary act of cosmic surgery. The genetic code of life on earth had been corrupted, infiltrated by an alien, angelic element, producing monstrous results. The Nephilim were just the most obvious symptom. The text implies that their sin had begun to affect the animals and plants as well. Creation was unraveling. The flood was a global reset, a way to wipe the corrupted hard drive of the planet and reboot it with the clean data preserved within the ark. And so, the cataclysm began. This was not just 40 days of rain. The Book of Enoch, like Genesis, describes a far more violent event. The fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. Water erupted from beneath the earth and fell from the sky in a torrent. It was a decreation, the world returning to the chaotic, watery state it was in before God separated the land from the sea. The storehouses of water that Enoch had witnessed in his visions were all opened at once. It was a cleansing by total immersion, a baptism of the entire planet. Every living thing that had been corrupted by the Nephilim's reign of terror, every trace of their physical existence, was scoured from the face of the earth. The world was washed clean, ready for a new beginning with Noah and his family, the last pure remnants of the original human design. This epic, terrifying account, so rich in detail and so profound in its implications, raises a monumental question. If the Book of Enoch is so important, if it provides the missing context for Genesis 6, if it was quoted by the New Testament author of the Book of Jude and was cherished by the earliest Christians, why was it removed from the biblical canon? Why was it declared apocryphal, relegated to the shadows of forbidden lore? The reasons are complex and debated, but some possibilities are deeply unsettling. Perhaps the story was too challenging to the established theological narrative. A story of human sin and redemption is simple, relatable. A story of cosmic war, angel, human hybrids, forbidden science, and a world destroyed to erase a genetic contamination is far more complex and perhaps more frightening. It suggests that the forces arrayed against humanity are not just our own moral failings, but powerful ancient entities with their own agendas. Perhaps the detailed angelology and demonology, the descriptions of a multi-layered heaven and a compartmentalized Sheol, were seen as a threat to a more streamlined, centralized church authority. Knowledge is power, and the Book of Enoch contains a vast amount of it. By controlling the canon, by deciding which books were inspired and which were dangerous, early church fathers could shape the beliefs of millions for millennia to come. Suppressing Enoch simplifies the narrative of evil. It places the blame for sin squarely on humanity and the singular figure of Satan. It removes the uncomfortable idea that other divine beings fell, that they taught us forbidden arts we still use today, and that their monstrous children left behind a spiritual cancer that continues to plague the world. It's possible that the Book of Enoch wasn't lost. It was hidden. It was silenced because its truth was too disruptive, its implications too vast. But texts like this have a way of surviving. For centuries, it was known only through fragments and references in other works. Then, in the 18th century, the Scottish explorer James Bruce discovered 3 complete manuscripts of the book in Ethiopia, where the Ethiopian Orthodox Church had preserved it as part of their official biblical canon all along. The lost book had returned, and with it, the full story of the world before the flood. A story that reframes our entire understanding of primordial history. So what does this forbidden story mean for us now? It suggests that the past is not as we have been told. It presents a universe far more intricate and perilous than many believe. It tells us that the line between the divine and the mortal was breached once before, with catastrophic consequences. It gives us a name for the disembodied evil that haunts our world, the lingering spirits of the Nephilim, and it serves as a profound warning. The forbidden knowledge brought by the Watchers, weaponry, sorcery, cosmic secrets used for power, did not die in the flood. The seeds of that dark enlightenment were planted in the human soul. The temptation to grasp for power, to unlock secrets before we have the wisdom to handle them, to break the natural order for our own gain. That temptation is the enduring legacy of Samyaza and his fallen brethren. The Great Flood wasn't the end of the story. It was the end of the first chapter. It wiped the slate clean physically, but the spiritual war continued. The spirits of the giants remained, and their influence, the echo of the forbidden knowledge they taught, never truly went away. Look at our world. Look at our endless wars, our obsession with power, our technologies that outpace our morality. The echoes of the Watchers are everywhere. This ancient, forbidden text doesn't just tell us about the past. It holds up a mirror to our present and shows us the faint, terrifying reflection of the giants. The question is no longer whether you believe the story. The question is, can you now see its shadow stretching across our own time? The world was reset once. The Book of Enoch forces us to ask what might necessitate another. The answers are not comfortable, but they are essential. For to understand our beginning is to hold the key to our end. The knowledge was forbidden for a reason, and now it is yours.